I always tell people when they're like, how do you do it all? Which is so weird to me because I don't feel like I'm doing it all. Like I look at my life and I think I'm not doing it.
Yes.
But I always say half-assed and wholehearted.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yes.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yes. Hi, I'm Cheryl Medeiros.
And I'm Colleen Hungerford. And this is We're Doing This Right, right? A podcast for the whole woman. Mind, body, soul, and business.
It's humor infused, as real as it gets, inspiring, and you'll walk away with real usable tools for life and business.
If you love what you're hearing, please share with a friend, subscribe so you'll never miss an episode, and rate and review whenever you listen.
So find your earbuds, lace up your walking shoes, or cozy up with a beverage of your choice. It's time to dig in. Hello, everybody. I just need to give a quick trigger warning. We do discuss infant loss in this episode. The conversation is heart-wrenching, but the overall episode is incredible. It certainly isn't the entire topic, but we do go over it for a few minutes. So if that's not something that you think you can handle today, go ahead and either skip this episode today and come back to it later. But the episode in general is incredible. So I do think it's worth the listen, but just please be forewarned. Enjoy.
We are doing this right. I think you have news you want to share with us, and then I'll tell you what's going on, and then we have an amazing guest. So let's hear what
Friends, I have an announcement. My au pair is in the United States.
Yes.
She is in Dallas, Texas. She was supposed to be here in 2 hours. She has, however, missed her flight, of course.
Oh my God.
Because that is the way things go. But she will be here at 9:00 tonight if everything goes well. Let's hope there's no more gate changes that throw her for a loop.
Yes.
But it's okay.
Girl, you're going to be a whole person again.
I'm going to be a whole person again. I can't express the number of tears that have been in this week alone. It's I truly think my body knows that relief is around the corner.
Yeah.
And it's just starting to give up. It's oh, we can stop working now. I can just give up because there's relief coming.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not finishing strong. My pelvic floor has straight stopped. It's just I'm not going to do anything anymore, Cheryl. Coughing, sorry, not supporting those anymore. You're going to that bladder's just falling out now. So it's just stopped working. Tears, eyes also are just crying all the time. By 7:30 the other morning, we had a 10-minute standoff about who was going to wipe Emmy's butt at 7 a.m. the other morning.
I mean,
sorry, Emmy, calling your ass out on the air.
Oh my God.
Getting real over here. So Danielle, fucking brace yourself.
Danielle's going to be great. She's going to do a great job. We love Danielle. We love Danielle for you.
We love her. We love her. You know what? She very, very carefully selected us, literally interviewed for a year before she selected a family. Very, very carefully selected us. She is so thoughtful. She's leaving a lot she cares about behind to come join our family. She's here for the right reasons. If this were The Bachelor, she is here for the right reasons, you guys.
Amazing.
So,
okay.
Medeiros have a successful year in our future, but that is not why we're here today. We do have a guest. I'm sorry, everybody, but thank you for the life update. Okay. I'm here.
Well, I'm so excited about our guest. And Cheryl's going to do the real bio because that's what she's way better at than me. But this guest and I actually have quite a lot in common, and I'm so excited for us to chat with her. So take it away, Cheryl. Do the official.
Okay. So we have Katy Mann here, the creator of the hyperlocal website IndyWithKids.com and the author of the new book Indianapolis Scavenger. She grew up in Southern California. Whoa, someone else grew up in Southern California.
Okay.
Ding, ding, ding. Her parents regularly took the family on road trips near and far to see incredible places and have unforgettable experiences. Whoa, love that. Katy's explorations have taken her to Africa, South America, Central America, and Europe. But her favorite adventures are alongside her husband and 4 children in her chosen home state of India. Holy shit, 4 kids.
Indiana, not India.
Next level.
Come on.
Oh, Indiana. Well, she's such a world traveler. You could see how I might mix those up. But Indiana. Okay. Well, welcome,
Welcome,
Katy Mann. Thank you
Katie.
for being here.
We're so excited.
Whoa.
We're so excited to have you.
Okay. Well,
Thank-
like, thanks for the three sentences, but like, give it to us real, girl. Who are you?
Oh man. Do you want me to start from the very beginning?
Tell us everything you
Please
have. Tell us
tell me about your birth.
Oh man, I can't go back that far. I can tell you about the births that I've been another participant in,
facilitated.
but
That's a different podcast.
opener today. So
Literally, open that cervix, girl. Let's go.
so obviously had great parents who took us many places, encouraged anything we wanted to do, pushed us to do other things. I was my dad's scuba diving partner growing up. So we went to like Mexico, Hawaii, drove cross country at Christmas time, just had, lots of adventure in our childhood. And so when I graduated high school, I decided to go to Africa and work on a hospital ship. And my parents were like, peace out. So I went. It was supposed to be a couple of years, but unfortunately, my brother passed away while I was gone suddenly. So I came back home and took a job at a church working with a youth group and went on more adventures with the youth group and then took a job in Indiana working for a church and didn't know where Indiana was on the map. Had to look it up during my impromptu interview call. But now I can find all the states on the map. First time I've been able to do that since 8th grade, I think. But I love it here. When I was in this interview, they just called me suddenly one night and had found my resume online, and they had these kids from the youth group as part of the interview. And one of the girls, Rachel, asked me, she says, so if you were our youth director, what kinds of things would we do? And again, I just found Indiana on the map. I had seen Children of the Corn, and that's about it. So I said,
I haven't
you know
seen
what?
it, but I have a feeling it's not good.
No, we don't like to be known for that here. I said, I don't know, but here's some things we do in California. And I promise you that if I'm your youth director, I will find all of the things to do in Indiana. And so I came out here. There wasn't really Wi-Fi. It wasn't a thing. Had a yellow pages phone book, a white pages phone book, drove around, used my dial-up AOL to find things, but no one was online at the time. There wasn't like,
What year?
here's all the
what year was this? When were you? Because listen, people don't know about us, and they were gonna think this was like 2010. Okay, so like,
oh yeah, no, 2004, 2003, 2004.
Okay.
So came out here and decided I'd be here for 2 years. Met my husband my second month, and it's been 20 years. So we love it here. It's a very affordable place to live. There's lots to do. All of my friends in California cannot believe like the amenities that we have here. Since we don't have a beach, we clearly have nothing, but it's not true. Like there's so much effort put into like our libraries and our park systems and entertainment and culture. So it was such a nice surprise. And it's a nice surprise people come visit now. Like we're a huge tourist destination, and more people from California live here than you would think. So, but when I was working at my second Indiana church, I was in a youth group of kids who were refugees from another country. And so that was the primary makeup of my youth group. So we didn't have like a big budget to go do lots and lots of things that cost money. And so I started exploring like free days at different places. And I thought, wouldn't it be neat if there was like a website that had like all of this information on there so that you could just find it in one spot? And so I would just make these lists on, a notebook. And I had my first child in 2010 and just started taking this baby different places because I would just get stir crazy on the weekends. And I had this friend in Pensacola who had a website called Pensacola with Kids. And I said, Jen, would you mind if I, borrowed that and made it Indianapolis with Kids? And she's like, do it. Connected me with this group of women online that do the exact same website and all across the country and Canada and Australia. And they were just so influential in my life. And much like you, I rose to leadership and took over. And it's just been amazing to have this website. It's been 14 years now. And wow. It's just grown and grown. And I remember my friend said, 2 years in, she said, what are you going to do when you run out of things to write about? Like, what happens once you have everything on the website? And we've never done that. I now have a business team of 8, and we've got about 30 contributors at any given time.
Wow.
And there's just no running out of content. I mean, we're running out of time, not content.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my
Wow.
gosh, that is incredible. You built like an empire. This is so incredible. Because
a small empire, but it's
yeah,
just enough,
that's a lot. 8 employees. I mean, that's a lot for a small business. That's amazing.
That is.
I am just
Yeah.
so impressed. So I know of Katy because I use IndyWithKids literally all the time. And it's a great resource for me and my family. And then also, like, I push that out to my clients and stuff like that because it's super helpful for people. And I love that you love Indy as much as I do. And I've obviously new compared to you, but people all the time are like, have that same experience. They don't know where Indiana is on the map. I always say whoever's doing the PR for Indiana as a state nationally is not doing a very good job. Like, no offense to that person, because people don't know what is happening here and like all the amazing things that are going on here. Like the restaurants, the arts, all the stuff for the kids. Like, it's incredible. It's really incredible.
See, and I would agree that maybe 10, 20 years ago, but now I feel like we need to get people out of here. Like, there's too many people now. They're all coming here. No, I'm so glad. I love when people come here and visit. But I just, like, we have the world's largest and best children's museum in the world. I mean, like, fact, not just their tagline. Like, that is a fact. And just some amazing places that there's performances and art museums and exhibits and festivals and just all kinds of things that come to Indy. So
Yeah.
Okay, so Katy, our audience is largely leaders and entrepreneurs. So you've grown over 14 years. Kind of look back to those earlier years, like when you're really growing. What was one of your biggest growing pains,
Mm.
and how did you overcome it? Like, think back to those early years and like that grind really in the beginning.
yes, it
Can you
is
think of
not to go back and think that far. Yeah. So I was working full time in a church, which is like the most random schedule that you could ever work, nights and weekends and whenever someone's locked out or whatever. You're just doing that. My husband worked at a different church part-time and then had another full-time job. We lived on the complete opposite side of town from where we worked. And I had this new baby. And then just this little blog, they called it, that I was telling people that I was doing with things I was doing with my baby and my youth group. And I didn't own a computer. So it was, using my work computer. It was very, very hard. And then within a year and a half, my second child was born. And then I had a third child on the way that was due to be like Irish twins with my second child. And I was not making any money on my side hustle. My job paid the bills. My husband's job had the insurance. It was so chaotic. I mean, nothing's changed as far as the chaoticness. It's just different, but it was so chaotic. And I just remember driving my kids, on the opposite side of town from the south to the north to take them to the church daycare that they were in, that my mother-in-law thankfully was the director. So they, had a family member all day. And I remember getting there and I'd have a baby without shoes on or a toddler without shoes on. And I can't make the hour and a half round trip drive back down to go get the shoes. And I also forgot their lunch. And so then I was like dropping them off, going to Target. And then my work day is already starting to get eaten up. And I just remember going home. I was, probably 7 or 8 months pregnant. And it was the only of the 3 that I hadn't been on bed rest since 23 weeks with. And I just remember having a nervous breakdown one night and saying, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, how I can't even do this with 2 kids. How am I going to do this with 3 kids? And I'm being totally drawn to my side hustle. Like, I still had a passion for my primary, job. But then it was like, I really want to try this. And this side hustle awards me the opportunity to maybe not be hustling all the time in a physical way.
Yeah.
And my husband said, well, what do we need to do to make that happen? And I said, well, we got to be debt free, which we were so close. We had to pay off a car. And I said, and I need a computer of my own, you know? And so within a few months, we made that happen. And my income from my side hustle at the time was like $100 a month. And we were barely making ends meet on our real jobs. And so it was really scary. And after my third child was born, I left and had the most amazing summer with my family. Just I had a little bit of unpaid maternity leave. So, but they were, my employer was very generous and I got to use vacation days and things like that. But working for a not-for-profit, you don't really get all the benefits that you get at larger companies. And so our family traveled. We went on a lot of blogger trips and things like that were comped. And I grew my business slowly over the summer, definitely not generating enough revenue to even cover a third of my salary by the time I left, but felt like I could really make this happen if I had more time to put into it. And so I left, and 2 days later, my third child passed away. Oh. And it was just completely sudden, unexpected. It was in her sleep. It was my first day of being self-employed. I actually wasn't even at my home. My husband had come home from work and taken over care of the kids. And I went to go work at our local sandwich shop that had free Wi-Fi. And I just sat down. I closed all the tabs on my computer for the first and last time ever, shut my phone off, and I got to work on my very first paid article for our city tourism. And I was typing away, and I opened up my email to send it off when it was done. And all of a sudden, just tons of random emails came in from people that I knew that said, call your husband, call your husband. And I opened up my Facebook, and same thing, just call your husband. And I'm dialing my husband. And as I'm doing that, a police officer walks into the sandwich shop with two of my neighbors. And I just started screaming. Like I just knew, like, I didn't know what it was. I just knew. And so I just got up, and they're taking me out of there. I'm getting in the car, and they're taking us to the children's hospital. And it was just the worst day, the best day and the worst day of my life. I spent the whole morning with my three babies as a self-employed mom. It was so empowering in the morning. And then by that night, it was, the worst, most tragic thing. And the growth that came out of that, obviously, that's a very painful thing. But the growth that came out of that was, prior to that, I feel like there was so much competition in my world. You see that a lot with digital influencers now. They don't like to share with each other, not all of them, but there's just this, this has to be mine. There's not enough. There's not a lot of working together. And I felt very protective of the work I was doing in the beginning. And I felt like there wasn't enough, because I couldn't even pay my bills, obviously. And there were all these other women coming up behind me doing the same things that I was doing. And when this happened, a woman who ran a website called Indy Car Mom, and it was all about taking your kids to Indy car races. We had met in line at an event once, and she asked if she could come over. And it was days after this had happened. And I said, yeah, the whole world's at my house right now. Just come on over. So she came over, and she said, look, when you have a real job, people step in for you, and they fill in when something like this happens in your life. They help out, they take over your job until you're able to emotionally and physically be there. And she said, but when you have this job and you work for yourself, your coworkers are the people that you formerly saw as your competition. Mm-hmm. And she said, give me the keys to your website, the passwords, and let me take over for you until you can come back. And at this point, obviously, this is a very, sorry. At this point, it had just been me, writing oh, I went to Home Depot with my baby, and, we went and had ice cream, and then, oh, I took my two little kids strawberry picking. And so at this point, it was just my experience and what I was doing in our city. And when she took over, she got a whole group of other moms. Some were bloggers, some were not, and asked them if they would all write an article for the website over the next few months. And the website became so rich with different experiences. Like, I'm not a hike it baby mom. Like, you're not going to put me out in the woods with a baby carrier and have ticks crawling all over me. But there are women in my city who that is their thing. And there are men in this city who that is their thing. And there were, moms that were going to vegan restaurants. I'm not going to go to a vegan. I mean, I will now, but back then I was, And so the website became so rich with like other voices of women living in the same city raising their kids. And we all did it so differently, from our activities to the way that we did it. And we're not a parenting website, we're purely activities. And to see the different activities that people were doing that was not even a part of my world, my universe. So the business grew that way because we were able to not only just add different types of content, but just to add different voices. And it became everyone's website. And so it was definitely a different business plan than I thought I was going to do. I always thought this would just be my voice and my brand, but it isn't anymore. And it kind of changed from that point on. And so when I came back a few months later, and, as a small business owner, you can never really let go. So I was watching, the whole time and adding my 2 cents here and there. But when I came back and took over, they were all like, no, we're done. Like it's a lot of work. We don't want to do it anymore. And so there were a few people that were like, I would write for you maybe. And so I was offered a newspaper column in our local newspaper. And I think they paid me like $70 a week to write just an IndyWithKids column. And so in my head, I was like, okay, if everyone could, and our articles were really short at that time. They weren't the way they are now. But also I was a startup and I had no money. And I thought, okay, if they pay me $70 a week and I can reinvest that back into the business, I could probably pay like 7 people $10 each to write an article. And then I can have more articles on the website about things that I would never think to do. And that's kind of how the business model changed. And that's what we do now, but it's a different pay scale and a different different expectations. But that's how it was. And like, it was hard. You were just constantly trying to go earn money in one way to pay people to help you with this side hustle. And I love I don't obviously love what happened, but I love what came out of it. And yeah, that's when we started seeing lots of growth, is when it changed.
Wow.
Sorry. Lots of talking there for you, and a lot of big stuff.
I mean, you're an incredible woman. What you've done is incredible.
Thank you.
And that baby gave life to a business.
Yeah. And then I had 2 more children after that. So we've got lots of kiddos here.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, everything.
Do you mind me asking what happened with the baby? Was it SIDS, or I mean?
Yeah.
And is there a further explanation to SIDS? I don't think I understand that. You might have a better explanation than I do of what that is.
Just how they sleep, where they sleep, it can always contribute to that. But no, just unexplained, sudden.
And how did you cope?
I don't know. I'm still coping.
Yeah.
Grief is.
How many years ago was that?
Let's see. Scouty is 12, so Shaundi would be 11. She'd be turning 11 next month.
Wow.
So about 11 years ago. So I think you just cope day to day. Obviously, I'm crying now because it's a lot. I don't think that you'll ever fully recover. Sometimes I don't cry. I don't.
Do you want to talk about it? I can shut up if you don't want to talk about it.
No, I love. I mean, that's what they say, that like when you have a child, you try to keep them alive, and when they pass away, you want to keep their memory alive. And she's such a huge influence on our family. My 2 littlest ones, who never knew her, they still like consider her their sister, and they talk about missing her. And it's so interesting to me. But I will say, just bring a little bit of lightheartedness to this. We had a dog named Pixie. We had a baby named Shaundi. They all met the dog. And so every now and then, one of my kids will talk about one or the other. And then my littlest will go, wait, is Pixie the dog or the baby? Because like, it's just this whole thing of loss, and that's all they compartmentalize it as. This is loss, but what am I grieving right now? Am I grieving the baby or am I grieving the dog?
Yeah.
So it's just like the cutest thing. I mean, you could be angry about it, or you could just say, that's so innocent.
Yeah.
and real.
Yeah. It's love. It's love.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how do you cope? I think you just move forward and you know that you have goals, you have a purpose, and you're just trying to figure out what that goal and that purpose is for your life. I don't think like everything happens for a reason. I absolutely do not believe that, but I do believe 100% that good can come from every situation.
Yeah.
It may not be from that situation directly, but it may put you in a position to create good. And I think that just being able to, I guess, show people that like life does go on. It moves forward and it changes you. Like, I mean, it's changed me physically, it's changed me emotionally, it's changed the way that I treat people. You wouldn't believe that's just one story of like how much people came around us and loved on us. And like we just had no idea that this many people cared about us or cared about our story. And I think that that just changes you and you start looking at people differently instead of your competition or, it's just, we're all people here trying to do what we need to do. And if you can help other people out along the way, like do it. If you can't help them out, then don't hurt them, So that's how I go on.
Yeah.
Perspective can be a very powerful gift.
Yeah.
Like in your life moving forward.
Right.
And how you live your life. Yeah.
Everybody's story is different, but I think one of the things that we really, the patterns, if you will, when we talk to women business owners, is just this idea of like persistence and resilience and, like consistent, like that could have been that is obviously something that if you had decided at that point, like, I can't continue this, nobody would have, said anything about it. Right. But it's just so amazing to watch somebody build something so amazing, so beautiful, and to understand like behind that, we talk a lot about peeking behind the curtain, right? Like to understand the hurt and the grief and the sadness and the resilience and the strength and all of it behind something that on the surface is just, like it's so amazing and it's this amazing website and business that you've built, but like your heart and soul are in that in so many different facets and ways. And it's so incredible. Like, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay. So I have a logistical question to move on to. So I just recently started following you, but you have a lot of followers. Yeah. 24,000.
Yeah.
24.1K on Instagram for a local following. That's big.
It's huge.
Do you have any tips or tricks on how you grew to that level?
Well, we were early adopters. So, a lot of those are legacy followers. People who have children in college now are like, oh my gosh, I still love seeing what you're doing. And I'm going to have grandchildren. I mean, we're like in the next stage of people who had children when I started are getting to where they're having grandchildren.
Wow.
And so it's just really, we have a bigger following on Facebook because that was where we started, And I think don't be afraid to try new things. Like if something's working for someone else, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't try it. And
love that.
If it doesn't work right away, it doesn't mean you should abandon it either. You just, like I'm definitely that. Like my strategy is throw it all at the wall and see what happens. And while it may be immeasurable what you're doing, the consistency that you mentioned, that is so important. And there were times where, we weren't posting we've always posted on Facebook at least once a day. Now we're like 7 to 10 times a day. But, we and I say we now because there is a we, but originally it was just me, my husband we just had show up in our memories the other day where my husband on Facebook had begged his friends, like, go follow my wife. She's about to hit 100 followers on Facebook.
Oh, I love that.
And so like, I always remember that stuff. I remember that moment. I remember Facebook. I think they still do it. Well, maybe they don't. They used to tell you when you had a page, 99 people are following you. 45 of them are your friends. And I remember the day that number of people who weren't my Facebook friends was larger than the people that were. Like, I remember those milestones, and it all came to just not giving up, you know? Sometimes people are looking for like a new social media handle and someone else will already have it, but you look and they haven't posted in like 3, 4, 5 years. And it's like, if they just like kept up with it, like, don't let things be dead. And so, number one, try everything. Number two, consistency. And number three, like, don't be afraid, especially if you're just starting out, you don't know better, and that's like the most powerful thing. What is that, to have, like, someone used the word yesterday, like, ignorant. Well, ignorance is bliss. You can do whatever you want. Like, reshare stuff or make your own stuff or just do something really weird and see if it works. And if somebody's like, why would you do that? Say, like, because I've never done this before. I didn't know, So I'm very big on asking forgiveness instead of permission.
Well, you're definitely
Love that.
speaking all of our love languages right now. Literally, just, it's so inspiring to see your story, right? To see that you're in this, you said 14 years later. I know so many of our listeners are in the earlier stages or kind of those middle stages, and to understand too that, like, it is not necessarily an overnight success, right? Like, this was something that you built, and there are a lot of people who will look at you and say, like, well, she's got 24,000 followers on Instagram, and she's got, however many on Facebook, and she's got this great website, and, like, why aren't I there yet? And you're like, well, because I started this. I was an early adopter. I was very early into social media, very, early into blogging, and
Yeah.
I've been doing it consistently for a long period of time. The other thing that I love hearing you say, and out of sorrow and out of grief, like, this beautiful thing was born as well, is that somebody had this mindset, this ability to help you, and that you also were willing to receive that help. And
Yes.
I think that, some people might have been like, no, I want to do it myself, or no, thank you, or not be willing to receive that, or, help. And how you were able to pivot your business and pivot your business model. And that was the thing that was able to make you grow to a different level that maybe you didn't expect. And I am just so in awe of your ability to allow that to happen, and to kind of pivot and roll with that. I'm probably just going to say that you're amazing, like, every 5 sentences, but I'm just, like, over here, like, starstruck with words.
Well, and let's talk about the Indy mom in the car.
Yeah.
What a blessing. What
Yes.
a gift from God.
I know. And I mean, her name's Jill, and she's definitely like part of my legacy, and part of my, like, when you think about the people who lifted you up along the way, like, she's there. And, like, I'll never, like, we're not like really great friends in a normal level, but, like, she is one of my best people. Like, she really is, because, like, who would do that for me? Like, at that time, I never would have thought anybody would. I mean, that wasn't even in my, like, I didn't know that was a thing,
Right.
And her words were so meaningful to me, and I've just carried them with me to this day. And I always think about that. Like, when I'm in a room with someone, I always want to introduce everybody and, like, tell, like, hey, this is so and so, and she runs, this really great business. This is her talent and her gift. Like connecting people, but, like, without knowing what that other person's going to need, but, like, just really saying, like, what this person has and does, because maybe they're going to find a connection. Maybe in some way this person's going to be meaningful to that person in the future, the way that Jill was to me. We met in a line at a thing at the racetrack, and our kids were running around and, creating havoc while we're just trying to stay cool in a line. And that was our only in-person meeting at that point. And to have that person be so important in my life months or a year or whatever it was later, is
Well, I
just
just keep
amazing.
thinking of this theme that I don't know, Colleen, if it's resonating with you, but that I've throughout these interviews we've done over the last year, there's there's been several times, like, just a person that does like a small act of kindness, or there's been these people that just do something that just profoundly changes somebody's life.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's just so amazing to know, like, any one of us could be that person for somebody else too. So like, be that person that's looking for an opportunity to change somebody's life, because
Oh,
we could do that for somebody.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Like, one small thing that we could do for somebody could have this amazing impact on somebody's life.
yeah.
We get that opportunity every day. Even
Every
like the other day, not to toot my own horn, but like, I just offered some friends of mine have been going through something, and I like was at the store and picked up extra dino nuggets, and then like did one other thing. Oh, she needed a Target order, and I said, text my husband. He works right next to Target. He'll pick up your Target order on the way home. And she was like, thank you. And I don't have to leave my house now. Like,
yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, it was. But on those days where you're just like at the end of your rope and you're like, I don't have the energy to leave. Like, those were two very small things that we could conveniently do for this person that made their life so much easier.
Yeah.
Like, we should be looking for ways to just simplify other people's lives when we can do that.
Yeah.
And
It's okay to ask for what we need
yeah.
too,
See and accept,
like,
and accept it, right?
and then accept it. So I've been like looking for an opportunity to go to Michigan to see my uncle. And I have one weekend, one window that I can go. And I started getting a group text about like, it's the last week of school. We're going to do a last week of school, party for the kids. And I'm like, well, I'm not here those days you guys are looking at. So, and I just said, like, I want August to be able to go, but she might need support getting home because we're going to have a new au pair. I don't know if she's going to be able to drive, like, whatever. I might need some help. And one of the girls is amazing in there. She's like, we'll get her home. Like, we'll make sure she can come and we'll make sure she can get home. And I'm like, sweet. And I'm accepting it. Thank you. I'm going. Like, great. Ideal.
And I think there's so many of those.
Taking that help.
Yeah. And it's when it's interesting to think about who those helpers are and who those people are. It's always the people who have too much on their plate and who are willing to do a little bit more, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think there's like, we all have multiple kids. Cheryl and I each have 3 kids. And it's like, for me, same situation. We had a friend who's a newly divorced single mom, and her daughter rode. And on Thursdays, I would pick up my kids from school, go pick up Josephine 15 minutes away from our school, and then bring them back. Because growing up for me, I had a single mom, and so many people helped us, right? Like, that's how I was able to get to things. And that's how, and those people were so impactful in my life that, and once you've got 3 kids, what's one more? Like, they're not going to trash my anymore.
Actually, the change, and it's going to change the dynamic probably for the better. That's
yes, exactly.
Yes.
But it's those people, right? Like, Katie, if I was like, hey, I can't get my kid to soccer, you'd probably be like, all right, throw him in the car. Like, we got you. Because that's just kind of how people who are handling and juggling, I think, not everybody, but I think that those are the people that make such a huge impact on our lives, for the better.
I always tell people when they're like, how do you do it all? Which is so weird to me because I don't feel like I'm doing it all. Like, I look at my life and I think I'm not doing it.
Yes.
But I always say half-assed and wholehearted.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yes.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is
yes.
100%. And people will say that to Cheryl and I all the time. How do you do all the things that you do? And you're like, I don't know, man. Like,
yeah,
I'm not seeing the full picture.
Yeah, I always say, I'm not doing it, but just don't come to my house.
I'm crying. I'm yelling. There's shit everywhere.
Yes. I need a pedicure and a manicure, and I've
not pretty
months, and I keep trying to get there, and it's not happening. And
my clothes are wrinkled. My hair is dirty. I mean, I haven't exercised in 6 years. What do you want?
Oh my God.
What's a vegetable? I don't know.
I'm very familiar with dry shampoo. Is that?
That is like my best friend in the whole world. I have to tell you guys the funniest thing. I got kicked out of our PTA.
Like, atta girl. Tell us more.
Because not for any other reason other than I have so many things going on. I didn't see all the emails, and I didn't really get kicked out, but kind of.
There's probably too many emails. Let's be honest.
Like, I they didn't ask me back. Like they always ask the people back, but like apparently they sent me a bunch of emails and I didn't respond, which by the way, I went back and searched and I didn't see them, but maybe they sent them. I don't know. But but it was funny. I was really upset about it. I was talking to my business coach and she's like, you don't need to be on the PTA, Colleen. Like you've got so many other things going on, but it was like, we'll try to do everything and I'm doing everything and I'm on the PTA and I'm running the businesses and I'm doing this stuff. And I'm finally getting to this point now where I'm like, I am okay with doing a little bit less, like just being more intentional about what I'm doing. But I'm just like, I can't believe they like kind of kicked me off. Like it's
You're like, I'm freaking out. I'm actually like, oh, I know they were going to talk about that at Thursday's meeting. I should see if they've asked me back. Because I didn't go to Thursday's meeting.
Yeah, but it's always us when we're trying to do too many things. And I was like, okay, we can let the PTA thing go. But Katy, there's two questions I want to ask you about your business.
Yeah.
One, how do you monetize your business? Do advertisers? You said you do some paid writing. Like, how do you monetize your website?
So I would say it's probably 90% through advertising on our website or through our emails, on social media. And just as our traffic grew, so did our opportunities. We're part of an ad network, which sends us a check every month based on how many people visit. And then our local sponsors are just amazing and believe in what we're doing and help with our work in the community. Without them, we couldn't do it. It would just be me, and I can't cover as much as we need to. And then sometimes opportunities come up through social media. We have a very extensive list of Indy families who are on our email list. And so we're able to monetize that as well. And then we've been able to be in some smaller programs through like Facebook and Instagram that provide compensation. And then I also do some freelance work. And then we've thrown a few events of our own. We have one coming up in the fall. So businesses will ask us to get families out to their put on an event that families will come to, and we'll do that. That's like just a little something that we do because some people on our team like event planning, and then our followers like to get together with their kids, and then we provide like a really fun special VIP experience that they may not have access to. But we prefer to promote other people's events, like we're not here to run our own event empire. We're here to share what's going on in the community and make sure that like every family, no matter your budget, no matter how many kids you have, how few kids you have, but that every family has access and opportunities to the amazing things that our community provides, that they know about the programs, that they know about the freebies, that they know about the opportunities and experiences that are available to families out there. Because if we don't use them, we've learned that they go away. And some of our favorite programs have ended in the past because of lack of attention on them. Some of our favorite businesses have failed because people don't know, what a great experience it is. So just to try to make sure that no matter your budget, we have free things on the website, and we have people who've been to Disney. I haven't done that yet, but some people have, so we have everything for the Indianapolis family or someone coming here to visit. Plus some travel. I recently went to Iceland, and so I did a whole thing about going to Iceland with your kids. And then next month we have an article coming about going to Ecuador and Galapagos with your kids. So, but yeah, so lots of good stuff on there. No matter your budget, free to Galapagos.
Free, and then like 100-year-old turtles.
Exactly. Just depends on your budget. There's something for you. And if that one's not for you, you just scroll past,
That is so cool. Okay, now what I want to talk about is now you've entered into a new phase of this business with your book. Tell us about your book. Tell us everything, and where can we buy it? Tell us what it's about. How are we doing it?
So this is my debut book. It's through Reedy Press, and they have a book like this in several other large cities like Chicago and Tampa Bay and St. Louis. And it's a scavenger hunt And in here are about 320 clues. So there's a photograph of something.
Oh my gosh.
And you're supposed to find that using the rhyming clue that I've provided you. So I wrote like 350 rhyming clues, 4-liners.
Wow.
They all had to have the same number of syllables each line did. And that was, I'm not a poet, but that's, if you look
Wow.
at it, it's not my style. It was definitely something that stretched me, an opportunity that came my way. And that's the other thing. Don't say no. Don't say no to something that sounds cool to you, even if you don't think you can do it. So I went into it. It took about a year. There's 19 different Indianapolis neighborhoods in here. And it's like a walking tour. You could park your car, get out with your family, and try to find these things. And some of them are very hard. So not impossible, but you'll have to use the clues. And the clues have some direction in them. They have some history. They have some information to help you find them.
What?
Colleen, what a great closing book for people with kids.
You already know I went there. I'm like, wow, I need to buy like a bunch of those and put them in our closing bag. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Especially as, you know, like as a transplant here, and we have so many more people who are, you know, transplanting to Indianapolis. Like, what a cool tool to have for you and your like for you and your kids, or not kids, right? I suppose anybody could be doing it.
Yeah, it's definitely in the adult section, travel guides. It's not made for kids, but kids should go on the adventure with a well-behaved adult. So that's what we're saying. Well-behaved can't take children on this adventure, but it'll take you to some amazing places, like things that I didn't even know existed until I walked thif neighborhoods multiple times. Because like so often we're just driving through our communities, you know, we don't get out and like really look at the things. And then if we do that, if there's people who do that, we don't always go and like Google it and figure out like, what was that before? Like what's the story behind that? Or why is that even there? And so it made me a very curious citizen. And I learned some crazy things about our city, some that I love and some that are kind of cringeworthy. But the things that I love are in this book. So
well, and you know,
that's awesome.
It's so similar in every city, big, large, small, you know, whatever in between, is people predominantly just stay in their own like 5 to 10 mile radius, right? Like I live in the north side, and because I'm used to commuting and stuff like that from being from LA, like I will go places, and I go and visit places and go take the kids places, and people are like, where is that? People have lived here their whole life. They're like, what are you talking about? Where is that? And I'm like, well, if you leave, like if you go below 96th Street, like you'll find there's a whole new world down there, right?
Below 116th, but yeah.
96 is a stretch if you're in Carmel. Usually it's 116th, but yes. Yeah. So I love this. I love that it gives people an opportunity to like really explore and love their city, because in any city, but particularly here, there's so much cool stuff that people don't know about, you know?
Right.
Awesome. I love it.
Katy, thank you so much for all you shared today. This has been really a delight.
Yeah, I wish we could talk to you for like 7 more hours, but
I know. Do you have 3 or 4 more hours today, or are you just hang? You want to just hang out with me while I reorganize the playroom today?
I'm always down for that.
Hmm.
Well,
nice.
Katy, we know IndyWithKids has a website, but tell us all the places where we can find you, and then also tell us where we can get your book.
So the book Indianapolis Scavenger is available on Amazon. It was one of the top 20,000 books last week.
Yay.
And then you can also find it if you're local. You can find it in Barnes and Noble, I believe Target, as well as Indy Reads, our local bookstore. Let's see, Fables and Fairy Tales and Fables bookstore, and coming soon to several others. So as far as finding me and my team, you can find us on social media at IndyWithKids on both Instagram and Facebook. And then on Wednesdays, you can find me on Fox 59 with our regular segment.
Amazing.
I love it.
And can they order the book directly through your website, or is it only through retailers?
Go ahead and get it on Amazon, or I would just get it on Amazon or through Reedy Press.
Okay. Amazing. Awesome. Well, oh my God, thank you so much for being here and for chatting with us and sharing with us and all of it. Like, I'm just literally have no words at this point because I'm so impressed and amazed by you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It was so nice meeting you. Bye.
That's a wrap. Thank you for joining us on this journey of laughter, life, and growth.
And remember, you're not alone on this path to success. We're right here with you every step of the way.
Please remember to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you found value in today's conversation, we'd be thrilled if you would leave us a review on your favorite platform. Your feedback means the world to us.
And don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, family, and anyone who could use a good laugh and some practical insight into navigating the challenges and triumphs of our minds, body, soul, and business.
Remember, we're doing this right.